Om Bhadram Karnebhih Srinuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashyemakshabhirya Jatraha Sthirairangai Stushtvagam Sastanubhi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuh Swasti na Indro Vritthasravaha Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedaha Swastirnastakshyorarishtanemihi Swasti no Brihaspatir Dadhatu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May we hear with our ears what is auspicious. May we see with our eyes what is auspicious. While praying with steady limbs, may we bestow well-being on us. May Pushan, the god of the earth, who is all-knowing, bestow well-being on us. May Garuda, the destroyer of evil, bestow well-being on us. May Brihaspati also bestow well-being on us. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So in the last class, we started our discussion on the third of two chapters, just as the first part and the second part constituted of two chapters. The third part also constitutes of two chapters, of which the first chapter we started in the last class and studied the first two mantras, interpreted by Swami Vivekananda. The two birds of beautiful plumage, inseparable companions. They're sitting on the same tree, one on the top, one below. And the bird which is below, it is eating the fruits of the tree. Some are sweet, some are bitter. And that makes it one moment very happy and the next moment dejected. So, and then after some time, he eats one of the fruit which is extremely bitter. He's extremely depressed. And now, for the time being, he stops eating the sweet fruits and the bitter fruits and looks up and sees another bird, which is just like him or the fruits. It is just sitting silently, equipoised in its own majesty and just looking at the lower bird. So this lower bird gets attracted to this higher bird, and it's for the time being stops eating the fruit and starts moving branch by branch towards the upper bird, which is sitting on the topmost branches. This lower bird again forgets. It again gets drawn towards the fruits. It again starts eating the sweet fruits and the bitter fruits. And again, one of the extremely bitter fruit makes it dejected, extremely dejected. And now it looks at the upper bird and see how majestic it is. It's not in any way tempted to taste the fruits. It's just witnessing, sitting in his own majesty. And now as this lower bird gets drawn and it approaches the upper bird, in proximity to the upper bird, the more it goes near, it finds as if its wings are being merged in the luminous wings of the upper bird. And the more it moves towards it, the more it finds that it is merging with the upper bird. At last, it merges with the upper bird, and then it realizes that actually the lower bird was nothing but the reflection of the upper bird. And by mistake, thinking it to be in need of something extraneous, was always tasting the sweet fruits and the bitter fruits of life. And now these bitter fruits, their importance is, their significance is that yes, as long as it is making us depressed, it has no significance. But when that utter depression at last opens up the spiritual channel in our life, and we find a way out, and we start approaching towards the spiritual self. Vishada is also yoga in the Bhagavad Gita. That this dejection leads him ultimately to that upper bird, which is his real self. So the lower bird was but the reflection of that one above. So we are in reality one with the Lord, but the reflection makes us seem many. Just as when the sun reflects on the million dewdrops, it seems as million tiny suns. So the reflection with our real nature, which is divine. And the universe itself can never be the limit of our satisfaction. The spiritual portal should open up so as to find the ultimate fulfillment in life. There is no other way. Nanya Pantha Vidyate Ayanaya. It's only by knowing the real self we can go beyond, which was actually stated in the first two mantras. Dvasuparna Sayuja Sakhaya Samanam Vriksham Parishashvajate Tayo Anya Pippala Swadu Atti Anashnan Anya Abhi. They're always united, Sayuja. And they're known by the same name. That's why it's called as Sakhaya. And they closely cling to the same tree, Samanam Vriksham Parishashvajate. So one of them, Tayo Anya, one of them is constantly eating the sweet and bitter fruits of that plant. Pippala Swadvati in its own majesty, Abhichakashiti, just witnessing. That was the first mantra. And in the second mantra we studied, Samani Brikshe Purusho Nimagno, Anishaya Shochati, Anyamisham, Asya Mahimanam iti Vita Shokaha. So after speaking of the allegory in the first mantra, in the second mantra, is what he's saying, that sitting on the same tree. The tree is the body, but the individual soul, the Purusho, Nimagno, is as if drowned. He has drowned in the reflection of the psychophysical existence, Shochati, being worried by its impotence, Anishaya. And I'm not Ishvara. I'm just like a straw which is carried by the waves, sometimes on the top of the wave, sometimes I'm on the trough, as if I have no freedom. So that is what's the meaning of the word Anishaya. So he's worried about his impotence, that he finds that the life is as if blowing him off, carrying him away. He has no freedom. So, but when Yada, what's what the Yada? He beholds the other. Pashyati Anyam. So what is that Anyam? He's the Lord. And he's worshipped by all. That's why he's called Jushtam. The one who is worshipped by all is Jushtam. And why he's worshipped? Because of his glory. Asya Mahimanam. And once he sees him and he gets drawn towards him and gets identified with him, he then becomes free from grief. Iti Vita Shokaha. So that's the two mantras which we studied in the last class. Now reiterated again in the next mantra. So let's go to the third mantra. What it is saying? Yada Pashya, the third mantra of the first chapter of the third part of Mundaka. Rukma Varnam Kartaram Isham Purusham Brahma Yonim Tada Vidwan Punya Pape Vidhuya Niranjana Paramam Samyam Upaiti. So Yada, when Pashya, the seer, what he sees, beholds the golden hued creator. Pashyate Rukma Varnam, the golden hued, Kartaram, the ultimate doer. The Purusha, the individual self, looks at the supreme self. He is the creator. It is he who is working through us. Is he really working through us? That we will come to the discussion, because he is not the Karta. The self is beyond all attributes. He is neither the doer nor the enjoyer. At the same time, we as the individual soul, though we are deluded by thinking that emotion, neither the individual soul nor the supreme self is the doer or the enjoyer. But why it has been mentioned that he is Kartaram, that we will come to the discussion gradually. So when he sees the self-luminous, golden hued, the golden hue speaks of it away the luminescence of gold. So similarly, the real self, its luminosity can never be taken away, because it is the essence of its nature, because it is illuminating everything. So it is the ultimate source of illumination. So that golden hued creator, when we see him, Yada Pashya Pashyate, when the seer, the individual self, sees there as the source of luminosity of the entire universe, and he's the Lord, the Isham, the Purusha. It is not the sense of individuality which I have. I think that I am an individual being, a discrete unit from the entire universe, separated from the entire universe. I'm a discretization. We understand it is he who is the core of each and every being. As in the Swamiji's commentary, we find, just as the sun, when it reflects in the millions of dewdrops, each of the dewdrops reflects the same sun. The one who is the Lord of the universe, he is the Purusha. He is the inner core of our being. It is he who actually is the essence of our being. So that's why he's the Purusham, Brahma Yonim. So he is the progenitor. He is the cause of Brahma. So from where Brahma has originated. So he is the Yoni, the cause of Brahma, the cosmic mind from which the entire creation has emanated. So Tada Vidwan Punya Pape Vidhuya. If you can know him, once you realize him, Vidhuya means you're washed off. You're all the punya, all the good deeds, all the results which you have accrued by the good deeds, the punya, and papa, all the evil, all the bad results which I have accrued because of my evil. So the good and evil both are washed away. Once you have seen that, they no more cling to you, neither the good nor the bad. As Swami used to say, the golden chain is also a chain, the iron chain is also a chain. Our punya may be like a golden chain, but it is a chain. Our papa may be like an unders. So we get rid of all those enchainments, all the chains, whether it's golden or iron, they fall off. We get rid of all the shackles of punya and papa. And then we become niranjana. Anjana means taint. The ni prefix is used, are washed off. Once you get rid of papa, punya, for you, there is no taints. You become stainless. And what happens? You reach that ultimate equanimity by attaining that supreme reality. Paramam samyam. That ultimate reality, when you reach, all the dualities resolves, falls off. You attain that ultimate unitary experience where all the polarities are resolved. That is the supreme reality where at last you get identified with. So now let us try to understand this mantra. Yada pashya pashyate rukma varnam kartaram. So this is what karta. So neither the Jivatma nor the Paramatma is the karta. As we have discussed so many times, but the self is the ultimate source of illumination. The mind is jada. When the self comes in association with the mind becomes active. It appears to be active because of its association with the self. All the activities that emanates from that mind, from that cosmic mind, from our individual mind, it looks like as if the mind is conscious, but it is not conscious. Just as that example which we give again and again, the IC chips of the computer, they're inert, they look inert. But the moment the current passes through them, the bias voltage passes through them, it as immediately of virtual reality projects out of it. So does it happen by it? Is it the doer? Is the IC chip is the doer? No. But is the current the doer? It is also not doing. Just by its association, this gets activated. But no one is actually the doer, nor the enjoyer. So neither the Jivatma nor the Paramatma, that is Brahman, is the Karta. Now the question is then why Paramatma has been termed as the Karta? So here in Vedanta, there are some very nice way of understanding ideas. That the Vedanta resorts to two types of lakshana, characteristics, that anything can be described by two types of lakshana. One is Swarupa Lakshana and another is the Tatastha Lakshana. Swarupa Lakshana means what? In essence, the thing in essence, what it is. All the indications which I can find out by Tata means the bank, by seeing the thing which is on the bank, to give a more clear idea. Suppose a river is flowing just by the side, but just very near to my house. The river is flowing, but I cannot see the river from my house. A guest came and I just mentioned river. It's not visible. You say it's very near. And then you say, just see the tall tree. The tall tree, that river is just flowing by its side. There's a river, the tree is just on the bank of that river, on the tata, on the bank. Tata means on the bank. So though the river is not visible, by seeing the tree, I can infer the presence of the river just near to it. Similarly, the self, the Swarupa Lakshana, as per the reality of the self is conscious self in respect to the mind and the creation. Because of that, this creation is possible. So from the Tatastha, from the bank, when I try to find out the significance of the self, the bank of the river of the self, by seeing that Tatastha, that what is in the bank, I can infer that there is the river there, the self is there. The self by itself can never be objectified because it is the ultimate subject. Then how can I be aware of the self? Just the way I become aware of light. Is light visible? No. But we have the idea that light is visible. I see light. No, we can never see light. When the light falls on an object, that object gets illumined. I see that on the light, the room gets lighted. It's not the room is getting lighted because of the light. The atmospheric particles, on that, the light is dispersing, which gives us a feeling that the room is lighted. If there is no atmosphere, even when with the light, the room won't be lighted. You use if there is no atmosphere, if you use the light, with that you can focus on something. Other portions will be dark. Only the object on which it is focused, you can see. It is not visible. It illumines the object on which it falls. So similarly, like the gravitation, can you see gravitation? It is felt only when we see a falling object. So tatastha, seeing the object, the falling object, I can infer about gravitation. Seeing something illumined, I can infer about light. Seeing something being attracted by an apparent piece of iron, I can infer it is a magnet. Though it looks like an iron, actually it is a magnet. So magnetism, as just by seeing the its effect, the thing's effect on something, I can infer. So ultimately, that when we find that in this world, everything is working. In Buddhism, they say that it is like a bus without driver. There's so many nice story. Just a few days back, I was reading a story that a Buddhist monk, he decided to meditate where no disturbance should be there. So how to just meditate on in a solitary place? So he hit up on the middle of a river and anchored the boat there. And he thought, there no one can disturb me. He was meditating. And suddenly he felt that his boat is shaking. It has been stuck by most probably another boat. And he was terribly angry. That who is that? That who can just without any reason come and hit my boat? And he looks back to find that it is actually an empty boat. It was not anchored. In the wind, it just came flowing and it hit the boat of this Buddhist monk. And then the Buddhist one thought, on whom am I angry? Can I be? All these things are happening because of the working of the nature. There is no self behind it. But in Vedanta, we say that ultimately you has to think of the self. This is the basic difference in Buddhism and in Vedanta. There's a nice way of understanding. In Buddhism, they speak of alata, this alata prakaran. What's that? That when you are moving a fire, there's a torch, a fire torch. If you move a circular ring, that circular ring is a delusion. It is not there. When I move the fire torch very fast, that ring appears, which is a delusion. And in Buddhism, they say that this ring, which is like this delusion, which happens because of the fast movement of the torch, similarly, the matter by itself is moving. And behind that movement, somehow we delude, just the way we delude about that fire ring. Alata is a fire ring. We delude about the self. And Swami Vivekananda very nicely is refuting this argument. It's a very strong argument, very strong argument. So I'm just saying it's true that we do delude that fire ring, which is not true. But who is deluding? The fire ring is not there, but someone is seeing it as a fire ring. The one who is being deluded by thinking it's a subtle argument that the idea of the self which we have is false. But that false idea of self, someone is witnessing. The one who is witnessing that false self is the real self. How can I find it out? You cannot find out. Just by tatastha, that as we find that some subject to perceive an object, there must be a subject. So that's the idea of the tatastha lakshana, that all the movements that are happening, we always have an idea that there must be a karta. If somehow it can be proven that I as an individual self is not the karta, then we start inferring that someone else must be the karta by seeing the tatastha lakshana. And that way we infer through tatastha lakshana that the Paramatma is the karta, but actually it is not the karta. But as per the tatastha, from our standpoint as a limited being, when we try to find out the nature of the self, then we designate it as the karta. So that's how the word kartaram, as far as the tatastha lakshana is concerned, this word karta has been used for the ultimate self. It's a very nice example Sri Ramakrishna gives, that actually Prakriti is doing everything because of nod. It is witnessing, because as it is in proximity, the Purusha is in proximity of the Prakriti becomes active. Purusha is just there to witness. So all the actions actually is Prakriti doing that also because of the Purusha. And what that example is giving, that the housewife is active. So the lady of the house is very active with all the household works. And the master of the house is relaxing. He's having a hubble bubble, the hookah, he's smoking and relaxing. He's just relaxing. And now and then we will find that the housewife comes to report. He will come and report what all the work progress to handle, how much it has progressed. To give a report, she will come, hurriedly she will report everything. And this master, without any interruption of that, having that hubble bubble, will simply nod to giving his acknowledgement. Yeah, it's very good. What has been done is good. So he's not doing anything, but because of him, the Prakriti is working. So as if he's a witness, but because of that witness, everything is being active. So that's why he's the karta. Just in that household example, we find karta is doing nothing, but we call him karta because of his presence. The Prakriti is being designated as the karta. Because of its presence, everything happens. But actually, he's not doing as such. So when that karta is being realized, what is the nature of that karta? He's a isham. That as all activities are possible, that's what isham means, the Lord. The word isham came from ish dhatu. Ishvara came from ish dhatu. That ish dhatu speaks of rulership, the one who is the ruler, the ultimate Lord. Because of his mere presence, everything is possible. The ultimate Lord. And again, he's the Purusham. So as Brahman alone is the one who resides as the self in all beings. Tat srishtva tatevanu pravishat. So after creating the world, he has entered. It is not that he created and then entered. Just like building the house, we entered the house. It is not like that. It is actually when I am making pot, the clay itself becomes the pot. It's not that after the pot is made, the clay enters. So it is the self which has become the everything. And as he's residing in each and every being, so that's why he's the Purusha. The word Purusha, again, etymologically means Puri Shayanat iti Purusha, dwelling place. So in the one who is in the dwelling place, who is as if sleeping, residing in the dwelling place, is the Purusha. Puri Shayanat iti Purusha. So as it is the Lord alone, who is the self in each and every being, the same sun, which is being reflected. So each and every reflection is like the Purusha, the reflected Brahman alone. So see, he alone is the Purusha. He alone is the one who resides as the self in all beings. Brahma Yonim. So he is again the cause of Brahma. The Brahma has originated. Reality is beyond attributes. But because of ignorance, when it finds expression as the phenomenal existence, the first evolute is the cosmic mind. Just the way when we have to build a building, before the material comes, before the works, which is nothing but our visualization. That all the creation happens twice. First, we envision it, we imagine it, and then in reality it happens. So this, all the things which is in the form of information in the cosmic mind, that's the idea of Brahma. He has originated from Brahman. Because of ignorance, appears as the cosmic mind, as Brahma. That's why Brahman is being termed as Brahma Yonim. So when you have seen that, when you have realized the core, in the core of your being, as the self, which is beyond all attributes, then what happens? Tada vidwan punya pape vidhuya niranjana. So then the twice seer, tada vidwan. The word vidwan here doesn't mean the one who is intelligent with academic knowledge. The vidwan means one who has realized. It is not that the one who, after reading about the taste of mango, has written volumes about the taste of mango. That's what we think as vidwan. The real vidwan is the one who has tested the mango. After hearing about the taste of mango, he was motivated to test himself and tested the mango. So that is the one who is vidwan, the one who has realized the self. He transcends punya and papa. He completely shakes off both the good and evil, and he becomes stainless. How itself that binds us? It is the notion of the karta, that I am the karta, that results in punya and papa. That all our actions don't bind us, because when we think I am the karta, I am the doer, then the results we accrue. As for the good, we have the good results. For the evils, we have the bad results. So as one have realized the ultimate self to be the karta from his standpoint, from the standpoint of the phenomenal existence, I have realized him. I am not the doer. It is the Lord who is doing through me by his mere presence. It's not that he has planned to do something through me. By his mere presence, all the actions which is happening through my life, as per the mental modules, so you have lost the sense of karta, and all the actions happens as per your state of life, in whatever you are placed, by neither seeking nor avoiding, and without having the sense of karta. When we can do the actions that way, when you don't have the sense of karta, naturally the sense of bhokta also won't be there. It is from the sense of karta, when I am the doer, then only the question of experiencing comes. But when I do that, whatever I have done, as I'm the doer, it is I who have to experience. Then we are no more bothered about the results of the action. We are no more result oriented. We just do the action. We do the actions perfectly. Why? Knowing it very well that in the present, in whatever circumstance I am, whatever faculties with which my personality is constituted, they are working. Guna guneshu vartanta, as in Bhagavad Gita it has been mentioned. They are working by its own to have. In no way it is going to benefit me. I am not the experiencer. So this, with the idea of the karta, when the idea of karta falls off, with that, the question of experiencing the result also fall off. And that's why, so when one gets rid of the notion of karta, one automatically gets rid of punya and papa. And once you become freed from punya and papa, you become niranjana, stainless. So that's the idea, that when you see the ultimate, you know that you are the witness. You're just the witness. You're not the doer. So then all the so-called the dualities falls off. All the experience which is going through all those changes, transformations as per the actions. You are just witnessing. So when that happens, then what happens? It's not that all the duality stop for you. The life is flowing, but you are no more drenched by it. And that's how you get established in that equanimity. You are always serene. You're always equipoised. So that's why there's param samyam upaiti. In Brahman, all the polarities, all the dualities in the form of good and evil, joy and suffering, they're all resolved. There's nothing called, as Sri Ramakrishna, in which one is reading the scripture. In the same sunlight, another person is counterfeiting the coins. Is counterfeiting coins. Is it the, what you say, that does in any way the sun accrue the good result for reading scriptures or the evil result for counterfeiting the coin? No. It's there just to give light. What we do with the light. So he's beyond all the good and evil. Similarly, the ultimate self, the one who gets established in that, identified with that. So all the good, evil falls off from him. So he, joys and suffering falls off from him. He is always serene and equanimous. So he transcends all the duality. When one attains Brahman, one transcends all dualities and there attains the supreme equanimity. And thus atam samyam upaiti. So he reaches the ultimate, this self, and all the polarities, all the dualities, they fall off. So that's the idea. So as we were indicating, that what's the result of all this knowledge? That we always go for the utility. Unless anything has a utility, why should we be interested to do that? So that why should we culturing the knowledge of the core of our being? Only because it serves the ultimate utility, the ultimate purpose is served by it. We go beyond all suffering. No one wants suffering in life. We may say that I don't believe in God. Someone say I believe in God. And those who say I believe in God, their notions of God may be different. So there we never find any point in which we all agree. But is there any point where we all agree? Yes, that's the only point. Whatever may be your profession, whatever may be your belief, no one wants suffering. Everyone wants happiness. Everyone wants yoga. They say that the goal of life is atyantika dukkha nivritti and parama sukha prapti. The dukkha, the suffering, should fall off totally without leaving any trace. And we all want to have supreme happiness, uninterrupted happiness. Taila dharavat. The happiness should be like to the other. There is no interruption. So that like that, the happiness should be. Everyone wants that. And that's the thing which this mantra is saying, that once you realize the self, what's the utility? You reach that parama samya. All the papa punya, the good and evil, is washed off. You become stainless, pure, and you attain that ultimate equanimity. That niranjana is a very important word in this sloka. As Swami Vivekananda used to say, that if all the scriptures is damaged, is destroyed, nothing remains. As he was, of course, in the West, so naturally he was quoting Jesus. It's not that it's only that sentence of Jesus which speaks of purity. The people of a country whose background maximum of them were Christian. So how nicely say that if all the scriptures are destroyed, and if only one sentence of Jesus somehow remains, what's that? Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. That's the only criteria, the blessed are the pure, that Niranjana speaks of that purity. When all the tarnishes is washed off, in that clean mirror, then the God is visible. In the chitta becomes pure. As long as the mirror is not clean, the reflection cannot be clean. And if it is not smooth, if its surface is rough, the reflection can never be perfect. So our only duty is to cleanse the mirror of mind, to make it without any distortions, to get rid of all its distortions. And how is it possible? By always contemplating on the fact that I am not the Karta. The Lord, who is the essence of my being, who is the ultimate Purusha, sitting in the core of my being. It is He who is doing. It is because of His proximity everything is happening. What happens? All the hankering for the results falls off. And with it, Papa Punya falls off. So it is not the action, but the desire for the results, which comes because of the sense that you are the Karta, that we accrue the results of action. The moment the sense of Karta has fallen off, you are no more bound by you become pure, and immediately that purity results in that illumination. And what happens? You get established in that Parama Samya, that ultimate equanimity, where nothing can disturb you. As Sri Ramakrishna used to say in his last days when he was suffering from cancer, Shorir tar dukkha jane. I, as I'm identified with the ultimate self, I'm always at bliss. Nothing can disturb me from that ultimate state of bliss and happiness. So its spiritual life in no way speaks of eradication of suffering. The world is like the bread. It has to, we all have to go through this life with all these so-called this vexations, all this flow in the form of joy and suffering. Sometimes we do have some moments of happiness, and suffering has to be. We cannot stop that. That as I will go. No one can do that. Many resort to religion for that by believing in such and such form of divinity, my suffering will be gone. Is there anyone who is living eternally because of the belief of a certain type of a certain form of divinity? These are all, we just fool ourselves. We are extremely vulnerable because of our fear for the suffering. The entire humanity is so vulnerable that they are easily fool us with all those with the prophets to wash away all our suffering. The suffering can never go that way. The decay, the disease and death is the basic thing in life. No one can avoid that. However, we may resort to various type of beliefs. We may just say that by going to such and such type of divine personality, I can get, maybe for the time being, something has been averted. But no, there's a basic principle of life. The life means it is a flow. So that way we can never avoid the suffering. We can change just today, someone was asking me a very interesting question, that what is the difference between Satyanarayana Puja and the Satsang? So it was, I first puzzled by that question, how to answer. And then I told this Satyanarayana Puja is actually where this God is the means, world is the end. That I fear that so many mishaps may happen in my life. So again, and I resort to that type of worship, thinking my mishaps will be averted. And what is Satsang? That I resort to in all the satsang, that doing puja to get rid of suffering, that life with all its suffering may be there. By my faith in the divine, I transcend them. That they don't in way touch me. Previously, I was in the stream, being drenched by the stream. Now I'm sitting in the shore, just seeing the flow. The satsang means that where God is the means, God is the end. World is not the end. This so-called all those pujas, other pujas, you will find actually world is the end. That God is just the means, that God can somehow help me to get rid of the suffering. So that doesn't mean that all the sufferings will vanish. The sufferings are there, but I am not affected by them. I know that they belong to the body-mind complex, not to me. It can never touch me. As very nice stories of Socrates, when it was decided that he has to die by drinking the poison. Now his disciples, they asked him that how you wish to be, that your body, whether it's be cremated or it should be buried, what? And Socrates' answer was, whatever you wish, you do. And then when he find that his disciples were insisting that please do a specific thing, that what we are going to do with it. And then he told that you do with the body whatever you wish, because in no way you are going to catch the real me. It is just the body, whatever you wish. The real me is not the body. So in no way you can catch the real me. So the no state by its capital punishment can touch the real me. No church by its so-called punishments can catch the real me. It is beyond. So this body, whatever you wish you do with it, is there of the body. I have transcended that. And that made me fearless, because I am pure. So this is the spiritual courage. Swami used to say that many of the Westerners say that Indians are timid. They don't have courage. And Swamiji told, we do have, the Indians also do have courage. It's a different type of courage. You think that standing in front of the, what you say, that of the courage in the war, when the war field, when the war is going on, that standing in front of the gun, that's courage. But to be established in the self is a different type of courage. Whatever may happen to the body, no one can carry away my conviction. And that speaks of the samya, the equanimity. And that's the equanimity which has been spoken. You just transcend them. The word transcend should be understood in its proper sense. It doesn't mean to get rid. They are there, but they in no way affect me. I am above them. So when I get established in the self, that's the utility. The highest utility which has been the Upanishad is again and again, like the benevolent mother is trying to motivate us. Just the way the mother tries to motivate the child in various ways, sometimes by scolding, sometimes by luring, sometimes by saying soft words. She doesn't know what will work in various ways. So Upanishad is like the mother. In various ways, it is trying to motivate us to resort bliss, ultimate joy, eternity. So the knower of Brahman is described in the next mantra, the fourth. This is a very important mantra that's been described in the fourth mantra of the first chapter of the third part of Mundaka Upanishad. So let us read the mantra. Prana hi esha sarva budvan bhavate na ativadi atmakrira atmarati kriravan esha brahmavidam varishtha prano hi esha sarva bhutai vibhati. So prana, the vital force, which we equate with life. That life means prana. So he is the ultimate prana. The one, he is the ultimate vital force, which shines divergently through all beings. It is he who is shining through all the beings and finding expression as a prana, as a vitality in all the beings. The one who is verily the vital force, who shines divergently through all the beings. Vijanan vidwan bhavate na ativadi. The one who knows this. This line is very important. The one who knows this, the one who attains realization. The vidwan, again, the word vidwan doesn't mean to know intellectually. The one who realized that his speech never transcends his realization. This is a sentence we have to understand. It has, in various ways, it has been interpreted. We will go to the interpretation gradually. That the word ativada, what it means. That sometimes, most of the times, as Sri Ramakrishna used to say, that the children were quarreling in a joint family, in the olden extended family. The children were quarreling, and the elders saw that when they're quarreling, they're using the word God's promise. That someone told you're speaking the lie. The other child told, no, God's promise, I'm saying, I haven't spoken the lie. I've told the truth. And the seniors, they get a bit piqued, they get surprised from where they learn this word God's promise. Sometimes they don't realize that when they might have used the word God's promise. And from them, these children also have learned the word God's promise. Ishwara Dibbi, Sri Ramakrishna is saying. That the father uses the word Ishwara Dibbi, the child uses the word Ishwara Dibbi, but none of them knows Ishwara. So you are speaking something which is beyond your realization. Promising the name of God. But what's God? I don't know. In his name, I'm promising. So that's which transcends our realization. There's jokes that on Sunday, the father says to the child that that we have to go to the church. Why? Because God has invited us. There's God's invitation on Sundays in the church. And the child asks, how do you feel when someone is invited in and you go there and you find the host is not there? Because the child doesn't see God. He says that God has invited. The father tries to convince the child by probably went to the church and was searching where is God, and he doesn't see his God. And so that's why he's asked, how do you feel when you're invited and you go to the place where you've been invited and you find the host himself is not there? So this speaks of ativada, that we are using some words which we haven't realized. So but one who has realized, the real Vidwan, he's not a single word transcends his realization, ativada. This is the word we go to the this meaning of this mantra. So the one who has went to the realization doesn't speak something which transcends realization. And how I will find that he is a man of realization? These are the signs which is visible through him, that he sports in the self, his Atma Krida. He delights in the self, Atma Rati. And his Kridavan, his life, through his life, we will find his Kridavan like an adept player, expert player, where the game has become spontaneous. He doesn't have to really exert himself. Like an adept dancer, the dancing hand has become spontaneous. Is that he's an adept player. The spiritual life has become something spontaneous, habitual for him. So he's a Kridavan. So these are the things which finds expression through the one who has realized the self. He becomes Atma Krida, Atma Rati, and Kridavan. So no, the one in whom you find this, that he's, of course, he should be na ativadi. He should that speaks, he have realized something, and as a result, whatever he speaks is within that realization. It can never transcend that. And he always sports in the self, Atma Krida. He delights in the self, Atma Rati. Now we say, what's the difference? Very interesting. Krida in Sanskrit, unless you know the exact meaning of the words, sometimes it becomes confusing. You feel means when you are enjoying. Krida is also enjoyment, Rati is also enjoyment. But Krida is what type of enjoyment? When I am enjoying with others, like when I'm playing. There are so many others with whom I am playing. So you need some others as your game partner with whom you are playing. That is Krida. Krida is a game where other players are also there. Atmarati. There's no player. You are enjoying, just by being engrossed within yourself. Rati means where you yourself are enjoying. That's Rati. So that's the difference between Krida and Rati. So now you will find what you say, that Atma Krida. When you see the self in all, when you have a man of realization, when he interacts with the world, he sees the self in all. So he's not actually dealing with the other person, he's dealing with the self. So that's why he becomes Atma Krida. When he's not interacting with the world, he's engrossed within himself. He's always immersed in self. There is no distraction for him. He becomes Atmarati. And this he doesn't do with what you say, that with a conscious attempt. I have not went to that realization. What I will try to see the self in others. It's not that I really see. And when I am alone with myself, I will try to be immersed in self, though it is not the case. My mind has distraction. But for a man of realization, he has become Kridavan, has become adept. When he's with the world, he sees the self in them and deals with them as the self. And when he's with himself, he immediately merges within the self. So when you see such a person, know it for certain that he is Varishtha. That's the Brahma Vedam Varishtha. So this mantra needs a bit more elaboration, especially with the word Ativada. If once you become, you transcend this Ativada, you become Na Ativadi. Your words never transcend your realization. What actually it means, when it happens, then naturally the other things are bound to follow. Atma Krida, Kridavan, Atmarati. These three aspects are bound to follow. And that will prove that you are the chief among the knowers of Brahman, that the knowledge of Brahman is just not mere some intellectual conviction or some belief. It has went to the realization. And once it has gone to the realization, it has transformed your life. Naturally, your total personality becomes overhauled. You become Atma Krida, you become Atmarati, you become Kridavan. So what these terms actually means, it needs a bit more discussion. We will continue with this sloka by purport again in the next class. With this, we stop our discussion today. Thank you all. Namaskars.